Hi, Jody. How are you?
Oh, they weren't there when you came in. They're on the camera. They are on the
I don't know why you did that. Oh,
Brooke talk about
Work now? Yeah.
I was gonna say, wow, that's running all the way down this corner of the building out there.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, workshop agenda, 10/21/2025, and we have I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have roll call, please?
Mayor Stallman,
Here.
Councilman Green,
Here.
Councilman Meinke,
Here.
Councilwoman Bucci, Councilman Bullen,
Here.
Councilman Howe,
Here.
Councilman Hutchison.
Here.
Double one.
Has, anybody have any questions on council meeting minutes of 9/25/25? Any questions on any of the reports that were submitted and the treasurer's report that was submitted? We are making progress on our treasurer's report. We are getting closer and closer to finishing up our water sewer. We had a budget meeting today, and we got line items set up. Now what we have to do is just put money in the shortfalls of those line items, and hopefully we'll have them ready for the next council meeting. I'll try to get that as soon as I can. Nothing on any of the reports on Washington or anything like that? From anybody? We have planning and zoning recommendations to the code book. And have anything, I want to say that I did talk with our city attorney. He came to my office today, and we discussed some of the items that were proposed of the changes to the codes, and he is going to be working on a resolution or an ordinance that will take care of the situation with our resorts, because there is no, what he was saying is there's really no difference between a resort and a hotel. Okay, so if a resort owner, or be like a hotel owner, okay, they have a person that's staying in there for 60, 90 days, they rent it out as a hotel. Resort owner is basically the same thing. So we're, doing the same semantics with resort owner or hotel or motel. So if we're trying to fit in how they are to, 30-day leases or whatever, he says, let's not do that. Just go after the sales tax and let them deal with the sales tax. He says we can do the sales tax where it's directly paid to the city, and that's what he is going to be working on as far as developing down the road. And that is the easiest and most legal way to deal with it instead of trying to get these lawyers involved and everybody is threatening to sue everybody else. You know, it's just kind of ridiculous. So he said this is the best way that we can handle it. Any questions on that? Once we get that developed, we'll be sending that out to you.
What's the time frame on seeing something about this?
I'm hoping before this next meeting, before our council meeting.
Because it seems like kind of pretty big change in year here.
And we can table it or whatever you want to do at the council meeting. We'll have time to look it over if that's, the way that this council wants to go. That's the way we decide to go. If we want to table it further on down the road, we can table it. At least we'll have something to go with. Sure.
I've been pretty involved with this zoning. I've read the book probably 10 times. I've actually talked to the gentleman who wrote our planning and zoning ordinance in 2001. I met him in Arkansas. I talked to him several times on the phone. I think it's very outdated. It was written in 2001, so a lot of things have happened since then. So my concern is we need to do this right, okay? That's all I care about. We need to fix the problem if there's a problem. And my concern is I don't know that we've done enough research, done enough questioning, done enough whatever to understand. I'm new at this. I've been here 9 months. A lot of people on the planning and zoning have only been there 4 or 5 months, so I can't. None of us are experts at planning and zoning. You're just not. So, in a way, it says we have an attorney involved, and hopefully you'll learn something. But I just need more information before I'm going to vote. I need a lot of information. I was also the only council person who got the planning and zoning meeting on the 8th. Everybody else was not invited to come. And there was like 8, 9 people there. There was a comment made by someone in the audience that read the planning and zoning, and they thought it was a lot of legal ease and it was very difficult to read, which it is. I just don't think we've done everything we can do to try to solve this problem. I think what we need to do is try some southern hospitality, and as council people, I will do it myself, I don't care. Visit with the owners in person and find out what their issues are, what kind of problems they're having, how can we help them. Some of them probably don't want us in. Some of them probably don't want long-term stay. I think a new word would be extended stay. You've seen that at Wyndham. I think Wyndham's got extended stay. So the terminology is important because we say monthly rental or long-term rental or short-term rental. It's kind of confusing when you try to explain what this term means. So I like the word extended stay. It's kind of understandable because it's kind of in the lexicon now. It wasn't used in 2001. I can almost promise you that. So maybe that's the new word that we need to look at, and that would be anything over 31 days instead of monthly or long-term. Extended stay is very open or whatever. So that's how I think we need to do a lot more research before we vote on this. We're going to affect people's livelihoods in this vote if we do it on Thursday. And I'm not for doing anything in a hurry. We should pump the brakes on it.
Any other discussion? Next thing on the agenda is ad signs on city property. Be aware that the ad signs have been taken off the white building over at the ALS property, and the billboard has been removed also. So there are no ad signs anymore. So we are not in violation with the planning and zoning people. We have a next on the agenda park post issue.
Hold on, I'm sorry, can we back up for a second?
Yeah.
Since we're looking for ways to generate revenue at ALS, is there a way that we can lease those, or is it a violation of planning and zoning if we do that? If we lease out
Well, on the big billboard, the person that was on that billboard didn't want to advertise anymore on that billboard.
Right.
Okay, so that, the billboard is still up there, but there's no advertisement.
Right. But could we
The
see?
thing is if we start charging for that billboard, we're gonna have to pay the taxes on that property.
That answers my question.
Okay?
I stand corrected.
Any other questions on that? Next thing is a park post issue on how we pay out and how much, and we need a policy or resolution. Back in the day, the city chose to put its money on park posts. Okay, in 2019, the one that I did get in 2019 didn't even have anything for park posts. But with that said, the Parks Committee recommendation at that time on September of 2019 stated that the dam site will be posted for next year's post, creating a host contract. And now, remind you, this is the Parks Committee recommendation to the City Council, asking council to pay wages of approximately $200 a month, $1,400, okay, asking for approval of deposit for each reservation. So they brought to council that they wanted to pay $200 a month. They're there for 7 months, okay, the park goes without, from opening to April 15th to October 15th, and 7 months worth. So they were going to be paying $200. Comes out to $1,400. This was a recommendation. There was nothing ever written by either the resolution, minutes of the council, or an ordinance passing any kind of payment to this. So council needs to make some sort of resolution or ordinance giving. If we have a park host come in, one of the things was, in the back in the day, some park hosts would only be there 2 months, and then we'd have to have another park host come in. By doing this, giving the person or the park host wanted to stay the full 7 months, they got a bonus, okay, after the 7 months. Now, whatever you guys decide is what we need to, to work on. So this is something that we need to discuss.
I'm on the Parks Committee, and it was my understanding that the park hosts were going to get $100 a month for the 7 months, and then if they stayed the entire 7 months, they got another $700 bonus.
Well, I understood that the whole point was they got 200, but the 100 of it was withheld till the end to ensure they stay. It wasn't a bonus, it was how they're getting paid. And then it was given to them at the end. Now I understand that there's some hubbub right now with our campus who's just left, and here we are again, stuck fixing a handshake deal situation, trying to get something put on paper here. So from where I stand, one, we need to pay these people what they were told. I don't know if that's happened or what since Parks meeting. And then we just think I don't think it's a bad system. I think it's a great way to keep people safe the whole time. We just need to put it on paper. So this is just one of those little hanging fruits that, once again, we are stuck fixing because people were doing.
Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of years, it was in the budget for $1,200. Okay, and And what I was advised was it was $100 a month, okay, and then they got an additional $100 if they stayed the 7 months. Now, then we wrote those checks, but then it was advised to me that it was totally different. So that's why I want you guys to figure out what we need to do so we can put it in a resolution or something. So this will continue year after year.
So is it, when can we have some clarification? How much is it exactly in total that the camp folks were to be paid?
$1,200.
$1,200, okay.
If you go, they're here for 6 months.
Okay.
They get $100 a month. If they stay until the last 6 months, the day they walk out of here, they should have another check for $600.
And is that how it's been for the last couple of
Yes,
years?
last year, Calvin was here, then he was asked to leave because of the whole thing. The year before, yes, it worked like that. Actually, if you go back on people's budgets, we budgeted $1,200. If you go back, they've even budgeted $1,500. So,
I think that's fair as far as the money goes.
and if I can tell you one more thing, our gross profit as we speak right now is over $40,000.
Can you say louder?
It's $40,995.80.
And that's our gross profit of
Yes. And we wouldn't have done it without them.
Okay, then my question is, are they there 6 months or 7 months?
They're there, if you go, they come in on the 15th of April, so you go May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months.
Okay, because do we need to make a motion, or do we just? We
can't do it tonight.
Can't make it tonight.
so we can't do it.
We can't do it next
Unless we change when we open up or close, like we did this night, because they left on the 15th and I took over the weekend. I'm free, so we can get paid. But anyway, if we change it, it all depends on how we can't have it open when we don't have any heat. So that limits us. And so I would say it would be 6 months.
Okay. Because I agree with 200 a month, 6 months, I mean, I'm good.
It's
Well, I think it would be better if you do 100 a month, and if they stay the full 6 months, you give them another $600.
And that's.
Gives them an incentive to stay for 6 months.
I like it, that'll work.
So what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, an ordinance is gonna be law. You want an ordinance or you want a resolution? Resolution, they can change them. I mean, they can change.
They can change
our
the
ordinance,
ordinance.
so,
I don't know, just obviously we've seen in our previous ordinances and things of that nature that malleability is important. So I guess maybe just doing a resolution on it. That way, things change, prices go up, inflation over 10 years.
that'd be easier to change that resolution than it would be an ordinance.
I know, I didn't hear plans on being here long enough to have to change it, but make it easier for the folks down the road.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think a resolution is something you like to contract a job or something, and you do kind of a contract and then everybody was not.
So it's definitely kind of quick kicking cans down the road.
Right.
Okay. I get one made up for next council meeting.
Roger that.
Thanks, Joe.
They'll get paid for what they've done this time.
I'll pay you.
Because they were running good walking back.
Things are,
Yep.
Any more discussion on this? Minimum use charge on our water bill, okay? It was brought to my attention by two individuals in town. we've received one complaint, just recently, that they were charged a minimum, bill on their, water meter and used zero on their water usage, so the zero basically went down their, sewer. But, with that being said, the contract that every individual comes in and signs, under one of the paragraphs here is, an initial. I understand that once I apply for water sewer trash services with both Shoals Water Sewer, that I will be charged a minimum charge each month, even if I do not use any water.
I was never presented a contract.
Pardon?
I never signed a water contract. It was never given to me.
It's signed, right here. Thank you.
It used to be.
I'm just saying. The thing is, we have it on file. And I don't want to, pick on anybody. That's the way we have set up our system, for years. I didn't make this up. This was passed by previous years. Now, you folks, had the opportunity to change this.
Where does that, vacation disconnect come in?
Funny you would ask that. The only thing I could find anywhere is during a council meeting, in 19, on December 19th. It was in the minutes where Scott McConnell, who was the public works director at the time, someone asked him a question and he made the comment that they no longer do vacation disconnects. Okay? So I called Scott on the phone, asked him about that, because I couldn't find a resolution ordinance stating that vacation disconnects were removed. He advised me that Mayor Nixon at the time stated at the budget meeting, at one of their budget meetings, that they will no longer be doing vacation disconnects. Nothing in writing, folks.
And I'm not sure that the minimum charge is the issue. I think it's the amount of the minimum charge is the issue.
What is it?
$50+.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've lived in other places that had minimum charges that were much less than that. And also, like you said, vacation disconnects or disconnects when you're not going to have any water usage for 2 or 3 months, and that doesn't seem to be an option. So I'm not sure that the idea of a minimum charge is the problem. I think the amount is the problem. So,
I was not aware that it was that high.
yeah,
I would still go like half dozen.
Yes.
I mean, you have people that are only here, some people are only here 3-4 months a year.
and if that's your only choice, that's your only choice. It's not like you can shop around for water service, you've got one choice. That's it.
You think a resolution for $25 for minimum charge when they have zero water usage would be recommended? Is that what you're looking at here?
Would there be any scenario where it would be like $15 or $20? Probably not. Maybe, Do you ever see the bills? $15 or $20?
No, I've never seen a bill under
Because the normal bill is $60 or something, $50 to $70.
69 something. That's with garbage pickup too.
Do you just charge them 100, you charge them for 2,000 gallons? Is it a minimum of charging for 2,000 gallons, whether you use it or not?
Yeah, the minimum bill is from 0 to 2,000 gallons.
Okay, thank you.
So that, the minimum, and I don't have those figures handy, but, want to say like $17 each for water and sewer.
And having lived here a long time, the vacation disconnect thing has happened and then discontinued and happened and discontinued. And happened and discontinued.
I used it right before I moved here. I called up here and
Yeah,
they
so
turned
it's,
myself off.
I guess we need to decide whether it's.
I mean, I'd like to, go ahead, Chris, I'm
I
sorry.
have a question on that. So like, a disconnect would be just, someone would go just turn the meter off at the meter as a courtesy by their lawn so that if they have a water leak, then there's not an issue. Is that
And then they
right?
let the.
Customers aren't supposed to.
The water, our employees would do that.
Right.
Okay.
But that, you know, that has turned into a nightmare also.
Because we're not completely staffed at that position either, so it's just more work for the water department to go and turn somebody's meter off.
Yeah, I mean, what we have been recommending to anybody that's building a house or even having an existing water meter is to install their own shut-off valve,
We should anyway.
you know.
No, I would be for a resolution to set it, since there's nothing in writing, I'm getting it right.
Right.
We're just planning to see for thinking. $25 seems more reasonable, and then what would you stipulate that's a minimum period.
And, you know, the other thing is our garbage pickup is on our water bill, okay? And we pay a flat fee, so we can't say, well, these people are on vacation, this, and we can still pay, we can pay that. So it's gonna have to be more than just $25 because we're paying $17.01 for our garbage pickup.
Which we can't make right.
Right.
How much,
$17.01.
So it would seem to me that $25 would cover the garbage and,
No, cover no water and sewer.
This is a commercial property with no garbage charge.
Right.
$50 for zero usage, no sewer, no water.
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think to go, you know, just $50 seems pretty steep. And I wasn't aware of that until it was brought up to me. And, you know, I just think that's a bit steep, and I think there should be a way to have the service turned off if you know, for instance, we're rehabbing that building, there's going to be no water usage whatsoever. We know that, because the plumbing's going to be disconnected for X amount of months. And, you know, I can see a minimum charge, I just think $50 is a bit high. And I'm interested in what everybody else thinks right now.
I mean, and, you know, in that case, I mean, we can just, you know, shut that water off. So that's,
But then there's a $250 fee where you turn it back on.
$75 deposit, which I was told I would have to pay again.
No, you get that, well, I'm sorry you got told that. You would get your deposit back if you shut the water off. And then when you go to shut the water back on, you wouldn't pay the deposit required for that.
Okay. I guess it's confusing because I've heard like 3 different things in 2 days about how much it would cost to turn it off, how much it would cost to turn it back on, you know, so we need to do something to clean this up, I think.
Yeah,
And,
I agree.
you know,
So let me ask you this, like if someone was doing some work on their house and they need the water turned off, like they're gonna install a valve in the yard so that they don't have to mess with it, would we charge for
No,
that?
no, okay.
So would we charge someone if they wanted to be turned off for the winter time? Or should we charge for that?
It's time for our guy to go out there and shut her off, but we don't want to. Yeah, I can't give you, you know, a good answer. You know, the fact is, you know, any valve is going to fail. So are we going to take the responsibility if that valve fails when we shut it off? That's why they should have a shut off inside their house or next to in the yard.
I guess the biggest thing, yeah, 50 is definitely steep, but that money still goes towards paying for stuff, city services.
Yeah.
So we don't want to hurt ourselves there when we're already scraping budgets left and right. So, I think absolutely a drop, on that. And as far as the vacation shut off, I think there needs to be some sort of time limit on it. Because if, you know, like you said, we're still paying per household for trash and everything else. And at some point, we're going to lose money. And as a business, that's not good. So I've utilized it, so I can't say anything against it. But the long-term shut-off, I mean,
What would you think your limit would be?
I mean,
3 months?
maybe 3-4 months, you know, I'd say that's reasonable when people are, you know,
I mean, you got snowbirds.
Right.
You know, that leave for 3-4 months out of the year. But, you know, we're paying 4 months worth of garbage pickup then.
right.
Okay.
So, and that's where I guess my qualm is if we're doing these disconnects and no one's paying anything, but we're still paying per household for trash regardless if they're there or not, now we're losing money. And that's not what we're supposed to do. So, as much as I think it's a great thing to have vacation cut off, at some point it's going to hurt our pocket, the city. And rule number one is not to do that.
I mean, you know,
So, how many people would probably fall in that category? 5%? 10%?
we only have 1,000 people, so.
Okay, how about this? If you want to go on vacation or if you're a snowbird, you pay a plumber and you can valve put in your yard and you have your shut off and that's it. I mean, if they want to be completely protected, because we're not going to be responsible, we turn the valve on and it leaks, and then they have a plumbing problem, and then they owe us $200 for a water bill.
Right.
So, that's kind of their problem, not our problem. Looking at my plumber's perspective, because I've done a lot of kind of work, that makes more sense to me, like, if you would just turn the water off yourself with your own valve, then you will not use any water, and we'll still charge you the $25, you won't have to bother us for the winter turn on. And then you're more protected with a new valve, a new brass ball valve, that will not leak, where this meter valve might leak. It might leak.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could leak, or you could have water loud, you could have a leak, and you could run it for 3 months, and you don't know.
From where I stand, I would say, let's drop the minimum charge and get in writing that there's no vacation cut off, just because at some point the city is going to lose money.
And we would encourage them to put their own valve in.
Yes,
Some paper.
we know a couple of them.
So you're saying,
I mean, this is just my standpoint on it, because if people are going 6 months out of the year and 17 times 4 times 10 houses or 100 houses or whatever that's coming out of the city now, and we're not recouping that, we can't do that. We can't take money away from it. We can drop the minimum. That I think is fair. 50 is really steep. But that 25 covers, our guys driving around, making sure your front yard isn't leaking. That covers,
I mean, to cover that trash, okay, I realize commercial is totally different, but if we were to try to cover our trash pickup, which is $17, okay, and our water sewer, even though we're not using any, what do you recommend as a total for residential for those 3 services for a minimum bill?
if they're not
using water.
Well, first and foremost, we have to cover our nut on the $17.04.
Right.
First and foremost, so there's 20, in my opinion. Now we're talking city services as well. At 25, 30, I mean, and I hate to sound like I don't know what's going on, but as far as the meters and everything, there's time is money. And we gotta build into that too. So whenever we're running around checking people's stuff and doing stuff, that's still considered water sewer.
Bill, can you do a better job of explaining from the contract at the bottom, you say, we still get charged for solid waste, and it's this much money, and If you're a vacationer or a snowbird, we recommend that you put your own valve in the yard so that we're not responsible for anything that happens in your house. Because we do not do their turn offs. I think it's maybe there's been a lack of communication anyway, and why we don't. I didn't
So
know.
we'll make it a.
I didn't know the minimum fee was 50. Well, that's a lot, but it's not once you figure out.
I have to assume at some point people sat down and talked about this, as far as that they would have to, what they would have to cover. I guess the main expense is the trash bill.
Like I said, I've had two individuals come up once here tonight, and it needs to be addressed, so that's why we're
I do have a question, some of it, I don't care if it doesn't sound like I know what I'm talking about. Is there any way we can turn off the garbage pickup if somebody's, because the reason I'm asking is I have 3 houses out of 5 in my neighborhood. One of them Sandy has not been in her house for 3 years. She's still paying minimum charge because there's no vacation disconnect. Other people are snowbirds. They left already in September. They're not coming back till May. They're paying a minimum charge, which is $50 a month. But they're not using nothing. They're not there. Is there a way to turn off the garbage pickup?
No. The garbage pickup is on a contract for the amount of people that we have there. We pay that rate.
Because we've been discussing this week that we've been paying them this much, but we've only been using this much. So, okay.
I mean, you know, technically, they just raised their CPI on us, okay, for this year, which they should have done on January 1st, but they did it on September 30th. And that's why it's at, you know, the new amount that they're charging. So, I mean, that, you know, we're paying that per household.
Yeah, but we've been overpaying them for the amount of households. For how long?
But that's part of the contract that they originally started with us. You know, the way you renegotiate the contract, that's one thing.
It's not the city's fault that we don't do garbage out there.
Right.
And also, the city is providing access to the water and sewer, whether you use it or not.
Right.
And it costs money to maintain it.
Well, I'll take, we'll come up with a resolution for the minimum bill. And see what you guys want to do with it. Okay. If you have any more, you know, contact me during the day and see, you know, what we have in there. Marion County sales tax increased to the voters. In the back, I left some flyers out there for you folks. Marion County Jail and the Sheriff's Department want to raise our sales tax for them. And I also put back out there where, and I know for a fact that the community center has been working on trying to get a community center for Marion County for over 30 years. They were doing it 10 years prior to me even being on the court, which was back in 2010. So they've been trying to get a quarter-cent sales tax. The Sheriff's Department wants a hefty sales tax. And this was the opportunity for our community center to ask for a quarter-cent sales tax. Unfortunately, the Sheriff's Department beat them to it. So I would highly suggest do your research on this subject and vote accordingly. It's coming up for a vote on November 18th of this year for a half-cent sales tax.
Was that Lincoln's Village, we just voted that out, is that the same thing? Lincoln just voted on their millage.
No,
This is different.
no,
They voted no.
this is sales tax, millage is
Okay.
millage is off your property taxes, this is for everything that you buy.
Oh.
And, you know, I mean, I highlighted some areas just to give you some better information. Baxter County has 43,000 people. Boone County has 38,000 people. They both only charge 1.25% sales tax. Marion County has 17,000 people, and we're charging 1.75%. Newton County and Searcy, 1%, 1.5%, and they only have close to 7,000 or 8,000 people. So, just wanted to make you folks aware of what's going on. Resolution for surplus property of the police and street departments. Do you have any questions on that? The police department is really in no need to have a Dodge Charger Hemi engine, okay? And the white Ford Explorer that's unmarked, that was bought and is a civilian type police, or it's not a police package, it's just a civilian vehicle that they made into a police vehicle. By getting rid of both of these, we can actually get a police package vehicle if we do this right, by selling those two vehicles and get a newer model vehicle for down the road.
Do we have some kind of idea what we would get out of the vehicle?
Chief? We're looking at, I forget, Don, do you recall any of it? I want to say that we were looking around $45,000 between the two vehicles. And that's just, you know, going with my memory, which is on that rate test. Any questions on the police one? And then the resolution for the vehicles for the street department is 2004 dump truck, a 1999 Chevy 3500 bucket truck, which is dismantled, and there's a black 1998 Dodge Ram, and then a white Dodge 2000 Ram, and then a yellow 1957 Chevy water truck. And then we have one large salt spreader that fits in the back end of the dump truck.
Do we still have a salt spreader if you get rid of this one?
Yes, yes. So the other one was bought back in 2011, and when I left, the new public works director decided not to wash it out after every salting, so it kind of rusted through. It's funny how the salt does that. Those were the items that were looking for the surplus. Any questions on any of those? Council member comments? Do you have any?
Hi there.
About time.
Yeah. Couple things, at parks, we discussed high water infrastructure, as far as swim area and the boat ramp. Like anything we do, we need to have it in the meeting minutes, if we're ever gonna get any grants or anything like that. That means, motioning forward to, one, create a committee to start to put together a pitch deck for the Corps. We have to start getting the public involved, offering up different locations so that we can discuss it, cost analysis, different bids for what it's going to cost us. You know, Shoals is the namesake of our town, and we deserve that ramp, we deserve that infrastructure, and it's on our end as of right now, just legwork, and we can really put together a really cool, great package so that when the time comes and this government shutdown ends and everything else, we can have something to lay in front of the ADSC and the Corps to really get the ball rolling on these things. It's a lot of people's opinion that it's absolutely vital that we move forward on this high water infrastructure. And it could really change the landscape of our town and really help produce some income for us if we can get this going. this obviously isn't a, get started next year, groundbreaking next year or anything, but the sooner we can get together this pitch deck and cost analysis, the sooner we can get to getting the sword. So my whole point of bringing it up in this workshop is we're going to need to do something for the minutes next week so that we can move forward. Just like with all the grants that we've been chasing down and everything, even for our fun parks grant, we had to show that we discussed it, you know, or else we're out and running right away. So, one of the things I've learned and a couple other people who've been chasing down grants is, you know, they want skin in the game. They don't do the money please thing. They want to see that you've done the legwork and have the community behind these things. And it's just not the brainchild of a couple people trying to get their way. I know the high water ramp was an issue in the past, but we also know the Corps had a pretty definitive location of where they wanted to do it. And that was over by Dam Site, which would take us from what many would consider an overflow from White River State Park and turn us into a very viable campground where now we're busy all year and we have to put heaters in and we can't close. So it'll really change the landscape. So this is just the first step in it, but I'm going to start working together with a couple of people on getting an actual pitch deck, which we can also then use for the ALS building once we get those RDOT numbers and everything like that. So it's kind of that big boulder thing that we're pushing forward, but we got to do something, and we can't let this ramp and high water infrastructure slip away from us. We don't want it to end up somewhere up north or anywhere else. I hate to say it like this, but it's our money. It's our money. So it's time to start kicking the can down the road and passing the buck and just do something. And I'm happy to take lead on it, but it's going to take a very big breath or it's eventually happen. So.
I hadn't talked to you earlier, but I've talked to other people about 3 locations. One, the Corps has been looking at one over Dam Site and everything that's from Dam Site entrance there towards the dam itself. They were looking at that as parking area, but they'd have to clear a bunch of trees. But this has been going on for 15, 20 years. The other location was the primitive campgrounds over at Point of Return. Another idea was brought before me were the marina, Full Shoals Marina, leases from the Corps all the way around, and it backs up to the Bel Arco, where would be a good place for high water. So there's 3 locations just in town that people had talked about.
Well, it's our duty as a council to put all those things together on paper for people to discuss. List the pros and cons, show them what costs could be, you know, before grants, before we get funds earmarked at a federal level, which I think is really doable for this. Del Colvin, who wasn't able to be here tonight, and I had a really long conversation, and, you know, he's got a lot of connections for us, and that tourism tour, we did it back in the spring. Thank you to everybody that was there, because everyone that brought up the Corps and the high water, it did not fall on deaf ears, and it's really gotten the ball rolling for us. I know for a fact it's been brought up at park and commission meetings through Quinn Gaston. Him and I had an opportunity to talk at length about this. So it's just time. I think we have the ability to do it, and we're going to do it the right way and put together something really great and hopefully kind of change the landscape of our town to a point where people are going to want to open businesses here. And, you know, when we do something like this, this is a game changer for the whole city.
They did something to Fairview. You know how that came about? Do you have any idea of the high water ramp at Fairview?
I don't know anything about that. Yeah.
So it wasn't the federal government, well, the federal government or not? I mean, game fish, state.
That's state.
So they turned a bunch of trees, just build a ramp, I mean, it's shutting the legs down.
We have some really great connections right now with ACSC as well. Spencer Griffin, even Trevor Whitehead that works over at the Berry Center is a big rooter for us. So we have all the means to make this happen. We just need to put it together cohesively and clearly.
So who do you think pushed that? I don't know, I'm just curious. I mean,
AGFC does a lot of surveys. I imagine they looked around, and I'd be willing to bet they looked at our town and were like, no, let's go over here. It'll be a lot easier. But now we have a group of people that are working towards a better goal, and we got a real opportunity here. And one more thing I would like to share with you guys.
Ooh, is it the Jam Jam?
The Jam Jam video advertisement for next year. That we were able to pull together thanks to Huber Media and the advertising grant that we got from the state.
Great meeting, you guys great letters. Head out over to the stage and we're going to get this thing kicked off.
Other than the fact that they want us to fix it.
So, I know we had a couple options at hand with all that. That was something that we all kind of needed to come to terms with too, on how we wanted to move forward with that, because the two main options for us on that were the FLTP grant, and I think the other one was FLAP, I forget, excuse me. And the FLTP would be the fastest one. But that also means giving up a portion of our lease. For those that don't know, our lease for Dan Huser actually runs from Dan Huser to the river. And in order for us to initiate that FLTP grant, we would have to basically hand that over to the court. As we don't know the past, that doesn't mean that our town doesn't get to utilize it, but it also takes the issues at hand as far as financing this out of our hands and puts it on the court. I'm not necessarily for that. It's an option. There's some other options too through AGFC, but I don't think those are really feasible.
So the one would be effective would be 2030.
And that's for we'll call it option one. Right. I'd like to make a point out that that doesn't mean it's the best option. We're just going to call it option one for different purposes. But let's just be clear here. this is a core problem. Like a culvert, you know, should have been a 100-year culvert, before it needed any action. But now, once again, it's in our hands. I know there's people that are upset about not being able to get through that road, but it is most definitely compromised. The colonel from the Corps said that to us straight to our face. It is most definitely compromised. So, we gotta figure out which one we got, what we're gonna do.
And I did ask the Corps if there was an option that we could take off parcel 2 from that lease agreement. Parcel 1 is Dan User Park, parcel 2 is where the old golf course used to be. And they said, yes, we can do that, and all you have to do is send out a formal letter to the Corps, and they would take it from there. I sent them off a formal letter asking them to remove us from, that we could remove parcel 2. Then all of a sudden they backpedaled, okay, and real estate, Josh Whitaker in the Corps told me that before we could do that, take off parcel 2, according to paragraph 17 of the lease agreement, the engineer would have to sign off that the property is back to where it was when we first leased it. My gosh, come on folks. They want us basically to fix the sinkholes that they installed those things 70 years ago. This was a area that was designated for staging when they built the dam. And they had to get rid of the water that was coming down the hill from Riverfoot to the White River. So they put these 2 4-foot galvanized culverts underneath the river cliff all to the White River. They put them in. Now they want us to fix them because they have failed. They have outlived their life expectancy. Okay? Galvanized culverts going to last about 50 or 60 years. They're over 70 years old. And also they want us to fix the split rail fence that's there. Okay? Well, just for, I think a 15-foot section, you're looking at $800 in materials. Okay? This thing is, good God, 1,000 feet easily. Okay? We don't have the money for this, folks. Plain and simple, but they want us to fix it. That's where it sits at right now. I've sent off 50-some letters to federal congressmen and state congressmen, senators, and the like, to help us out with this situation.
Kind of very much related, but on a different gear. A couple community members have asked if we have any other barricades that we could use. It was referred to me as it looks like the entrance to a village from Mad Max. So, if we had some way to, just clean it up a little bit, I gotta say I kind of agree with them, but I know we were in a pinch, but...
And I mean, it was in a pinch because we put up all the barricades and then went around them. And I mean, trucks went around. They thought that the logs were the best way. They weren't jumping over the
I'm what was brought up to me. I've done my duty as a councilman.
But I checked with White River, and I used to work for Team Ready Mix, and they had barricades, and he's willing to sell us some. Just I don't have the money for it right now. We do still have one left over at the front turn that we can bring down there, but we're going to need 3 to go across to officially close it off. So I'll work on it.
I was asked to bring it up. Here you go.
Any other councilman comments?
I had a quick one, and I'm going to butcher the name of this chief, so you're going to correct me. The rebirth of Coffee with a Cop, which I know it's not called that anymore, was this last Saturday, and it was great. there were community people turned out, and it was quite enjoyable. The mayor was there, and a bunch of, other, concerned citizens, basically. Do you want to say anything about that, Chief Bam, like the scheduling, how this is going to work from here on out, or?
Probably try it maybe a little bit later in the morning, instead of so early. Try to get a little more participation in the city. I'd like to see it once a month if possible.
And what's the new name?
I believe they called it Town Talk.
Okay. So no longer coffee with the cops itself, the police chief there. But it was very nice. And I would encourage everyone to come out next time. Except I would encourage the chief to not start at 7 o'clock in the morning. Just saying.
Maybe next time 8-6.
Yeah.
Anyway, lunch overtime? Right. Any other comments for council? Okay. Old business is our third reading for ordinance 2025-12, which is the clean premises ordinance. Our new business, in case you have any comments on old business. New business, we've got a resolution. Hopefully, we'll have 2025 R21, amended 2025 water sewer. Hopefully we'll have that resolution ready by next meeting. Next thing is placing the 2026 city general budget for $200 to continue with Northwest Arkansas Economic Development District. Okay, they are the folks that help us find grant money. It's well worth the investment of the $200. But you guys make that decision. I hadn't wanted it on the agenda so that we can vote on it at the next council meeting.
Awesome facet of our state. I think we work hand in hand with several other state directives and federal stuff. Tina Cole is our person, and I got to spend some time with her at the Economic Development Conference however many months ago, and it's pretty vital for us to continue with them, especially as we go forward, trying to raise funds for parks, marketing, the ALS building, all those sorts of things.
We're doing the trail deal grants, and these trail grants are pretty much 100%, not 80-20. So hopefully we'll have them working on a lot of that. I also am making a grant committee. I got 3 people that are possibly willing to, that have dealt with grants before, so I will have a committee on, right now I got 3 people. So anybody that knows how to write grants or knows anybody that knows how to, please make contact with us and try to help us out.
Piggyback off that, don't let the thought of writing grants scare you. It's so much different than it used to be. They really streamline a lot of stuff. You don't need to have this huge background so much anymore. A lot of it is super, if I can do it, you can do it. So just keep that in mind. Don't let anyone can do it. So if you want to help out the community, give that guy a call. I'm sure you can use another phone call.
You guys have any, open it up for citizens' comments at this time?
Real quick, when you're having a discussion on this resort, speaking as a citizen, everybody heard overwhelmingly, we don't want long-term care. I traveled this country a bunch while I worked, a bunch. And most every state, if not every state I went to, how they weren't operated, when I stayed in a hotel, after 30 days, they couldn't get to another room. Just don't tell them about it. Say I'll be in 16, let me know we're all going 17. So after 30 days, I go to 17. I'm gone 6 months at a time. And then back and forth. This eliminates long term. Because you're going back every 30 days, you have to go to another room. You're not going to be bringing it out, stuff with the office. You get where I'm going. I think that would help this cause. And it's done in every state I went to. I went to almost every state from here to the west. And most every motel and hotel, that's how they operate. And they even did it here, but Walmart was up. 30 days, you have to go to another room, get 30 more days. That way, in the long term, if someone's coming here for 60 days, they don't have to go to a room twice. You get what I'm saying? And they're not really, that will eliminate someone coming in under the radar, staying for a year, 2 years, long term. That will help eliminate that problem. I just want to throw it out, and I know this, I'm telling you, I can't count how many places I had to do this at. And it worked. And that was hotels. And that's resorts went around under that, whatever. All you do is just move to another room, and then they're 30 days in that. And that allows them to be here 60, 90 days. Only have to move 1 or 2 times to the room next door. I just think that needs to be taken into consideration. And what the citizens have said. We're thinking on one person's term. We got to think of the community in whole. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments?
Hi, Elise, I'm a certified worker guide. I am one of the resort owners, and I'm not going to go over here really. With that, I know this is a lot going on, and I would encourage planning and zoning, city council to look at other cities in Arkansas and what their codes are for resorts. I would just real quick, just try to look at their hard to find, like it's hard to find our codes, like I've been working on this but they're online. But just looking really quick this weekend, just to kind of see if I can get some background, almost all of the bigger cities, especially the tourist cities too, your extreme, they have those conditional permits available for resort owners. The ones that don't want to go long term, but we do have, when we're getting into our snowbird season, where we're going to have our guests, they're going to stay in a room for longer than 30 days, because they're coming here for just 3 months. They're not coming here for long term. And I don't want to move my guests every 30 days. Like, I don't want to go knock on the door, because I know that I'm going to be here for a short time. And so it's a very different use of our rooms in that long-term sense. And so just kind of also, maybe have this conversation that you mentioned, when I'm talking to the resort owners, see what we need.
I tried to get 3 of them to come and talk with me. The one said, yes, I'll come in there, okay, and you mind if I have this and this person? I said, please, come in. You know how many came in? 0. Okay. For some reason, they don't want to come in and talk to the city here. And I don't understand why. I want you folks to survive. Okay?
Yes.
And in order for you to survive, you're going to need to have some sort of income coming in to make the note.
Yes.
And we're not here to go after you. And in any way, we want to help you. My suggestion was, and nobody wanted to, even come in and discuss it, is, every 30 days, it's to your benefit to, if you want to keep that person in, they sign up for another 30 days, okay? They can be in the same room, okay? Conditional use permit. If the city cannot do their job in bringing in vacationers, tourists, transients into this town, why should you suffer if you have an opportunity to rent out your property?
Well, and our guests, I mean, they're shopping locally, they're shopping at Shoals.
I understand that.
And that's what I don't, for just a citizen to know too, and our resorts operate differently than what some think, but, our guests aren't, they're not apartments, our resort's not the apartments, and I don't want to, I fear, my biggest fear is that our resort's gonna get lumped in with a lot of red tape and all of that jargon with resorts that are not functioning as resorts. And it's going to end up hurting our resort, which is trying to thrive as a vacation resort. And so I just ask, as a city council, please protect our tourism and our job, and our future.
Yeah.
I know consider that because my husband does.
Yeah.
So we just ask that you please keep doing what you're doing. We see the legwork that you're doing, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate the conversations we've had, and that you guys have approached us, and that you're trying to do everything you can for us and the town. Because, like you said, if tourism dies, then the town's not going to have much of the future. Thank you very much.
And I want to personally acknowledge that you have been at every single meeting. You showed up and you have offered your opinion, and I appreciate that. So when you speak, it's really easy to listen to you because you've been part of everything that we've done so far. So it doesn't go unnoticed.
Yes. All right. Name, Caldwell, City Inspector.
The deal, let's go back on this water bill, this minimum water bill charge. I've got a house in Clifton, and they charged me $38 a month for minimum. So I went and had to vacation deal. They come out and shut the meter off. They didn't lock it because they know who I am. And I told them I'll turn it on. I'll call you when I get ready to turn it on. You don't have to worry about it. Anyway, it's a trust issue. They charged me $25 to turn it off. And $25 to start it back. I had it off for 2 years. It took me 5 years to remodel this house because I didn't get into the too light break. But anyway, then it went from $38, it's up to $47.52 now for the minimum. So, of course, that house is gone now. Anyway,
Do they include garbage pickup?
Yes.
So our minimum is 47.
Minimum is $47.52. I graphed about it, but it didn't do no good. and my water bill, the mayor called me one day and he said, man, you got bad water in your house. You use 22,000 gallons of water. Oh my God, and there's a British plumber that lives there. Mowing grass away from water, I guess. Anyway, they charged me, only thing they charged me was the regular bill. That's what it's always been. They took care of that. All I had to do was make out an invoice that I fixed, and that was it. And that's how they do it. So, just give you a little something. So,
well, they charged for 22,000 gallons of water.
No, they didn't. They didn't charge me. No, they adjusted it back to what it was the month before.
I mean, the city had to pay for that water.
They did, but they did. You know, I mean, it's just how it is. In Little Rock, the same way. All you have to do, if you have water, you show your invoice where the plumbers come out and fix it, and they adjust it back for it. I mean, it's part of it. There's no telling how many water lines around here we've got leaking anyway, we've made it. So, one house, 22,000 gallons of water is a lot of water. We got fixed and there it is. Now, another thing, listen to the citizens, everybody. Thank you for what you do. We have a
problem here in this town. We can't grow until we all come together. We all got it. We may not like each other, but we all got it.
It's gonna be tough. We all disagree. I've been in arguments with just about everybody here, but we're still friends with you.
I said, I'm gonna start with you. Yeah, I got nothing from you too.
But we all got to come together. You know, we all have different opinions. And to be honest with you, I don't want to waste my time going out looking at a bent fence post. I've got other things to do. You know? Keep your nose on your side of the fence. If I see something wrong, I'll write it up. But if I don't, so be it. You know, let it go. You know? That's how I see it. A fence is a fence. I'm a building inspector. You know, I put up miles upon miles of barbed wire. Field fence, all kinds of things. But we all have to come together. Somehow we've got to come together. No matter what political party you're in or anything, we got to put this argument and court, suing and all this other garbage. And the troublemakers in this town need to go. If they either comply or get out, you know. I've lived in just about every county in this state, worked all over this state. Shoals is the very best town I've ever lived in. I found home here. And I love this place and I'm going to defend it. You know, everybody else that lives here should love this place and defend it. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Rick Anderson, I'm going to speak to you as the chair. My name is Brian. Unfortunately, I listened to what you had to say about us, and I also want to right now apologize to you. I read in an article about our planning and zoning meeting. You asked me a question, and that question was, would I defend our codes? And the answer is yes. Just so you have that answer. Because I did answer that no, so no worries. But we've been talking about this. Mr. Mikey brought it up that our codes are outdated. We're in the process of updating them. But yet we seem to be stuck on a couple words. And it's really a kind of shame. Putting in another word, I don't think it's going to make any difference. What's really sad is we've lost the direction that planning and zoning was going for. Unfortunately, we have a new misinformation came down, and the information is just ridiculous. The original intent of planning and zoning was to get the resorts that are blatantly doing long-term apartments. This is what the citizens have told us they do not want. We're not after people that are doing 30, 60 days. Your idea is pretty good. I think Mr. Hilburn's idea is better. I used to travel quite a bit and do the same thing every 3 days. I mean, the difference is I do not travel with all my outdoor furniture and everything else. This is what we have going on in some of these resorts. They moved in with the entire apartment. That is not a short-term stay. We need to do something about this, but don't lose sight of what we're after. We weren't after these resorts that are complaining right now. We're after a difference between short-term and a permanent. We need to fix our codes, people, and we need to enforce it. And now we're kicking it down the road again, and I don't like it. And as a citizen now, I want to talk about the privilege tax. Mr. Hall brought it up a meeting or two ago that it was very invasive that we asked them to bring the books in. He's absolutely right. Why can't we, but we haven't heard a solution yet. Why can't we just have them bring in their quarterly taxes? And that's how the tax will be figured out. It's very simple. We have somebody that is bonded, I believe, aren't you? Are you bonded? Yeah. Well, we got somebody that's responsible enough to do this. But again, the tax got kicked down the road in a couple of months. We have to do something about that, and that's what you're involved with. So that's what city attorney was trying to bring that up. Thank you.
Rick, I just would like you to know that is being handled. It's a couple community members, I won't call out so people send angry messages, but they put together a very cohesive, I mean, it's exquisitely done, and they went through and did a great job blueprinting it. I have a copy of it, I'm pretty sure everyone will too. And it mirrors all the towns around us. So there's no more invasive, bring your whole book in, put in the number, do the formula, send your check. I was personally contacted by a couple different businesses here in town when the letter and the ordinance went out, and I assured them, look, it was just so that we can get the ball rolling and that we would be cleaning it up, and I applaud the people that really put the time and effort into this and went their hands to get eyes on it. I think it's going to be one of the best things we've actually put out. So
we have so many things, so that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it needed to be discussed. And, we have to start bringing some money in somehow.
Right. And this is, I had some time over the last day to sit down and sip coffee and look at it. It's really well done. It makes perfect sense. It's the same formula basically that Mountain Home and everyone around us.
Yeah. I used to have a liquor license. Our federal taxes were the numbers that our county collected taxes on.
Yes.
No different than the city. So it's a very simple form. It's not something that's difficult.
Super easy, and this is very manageable, and for any business owner, I've also had a liquor license, I've had to pay liquor tax, and from a personal aspect, from a business aspect, I think this one's a home run. So let our businesses out there know this isn't going to be we're not trying to scalp anyone on this, we're just need to start generating money again. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And roll along with that, I had one of the business owners come to my office and we worked things out.
And just to clarify, we're not retroactively going after people for however many years. It wasn't collected by how many administrations. We're not here to hurt anyone. But the brass tacks of the situation is every other town's got it. If you want to move there, you're going to pay it there. So, it's just another city income source to be able to sell alcohol. So, cost of doing business.
Any other citizens' comments?
Don Bowman, Shoals Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of you. I've only been here 5 years, and I've never seen anything happen like this in Shoals. I think it's something we can all be proud of. I think I've seen most everybody on this council at the event, either before or during, participating. We all want change in this town, and this is what it takes, is everybody getting in a little bit and pitching in. And we're moving forward great. So good job, guys. Chamber was proud to play a very small part in that, and we hope to continue the momentum. This weekend we have an event coming up at the Campsite Campground. Things have come together quite nicely here, and we're just hoping that Mother Nature's going to work with us. Nothing goes better with chili than a nice, cool autumn, winter weather, and get a little, get to wear your rain hat or bring an umbrella. It'll just make it that much more fun. So we hope to see everybody there. I think it's going to be another great event. We'll just keep this momentum going. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? If not, mayor's comments. Please get your dogs registered with the city hall. Reminder, only 3 dogs or 3 cats max per household. We would have we had an incident that was unfortunate. Dogs were gotten out. It could have happened in a better way. wait for the outcome if we knew who those dogs belonged to. There was no collars on them. They weren't registered with the city of Old Shoals. And unfortunately, an incident happened. And it's been dealt with. Citations were issued. And you must get your dog registered. It's not just for the fine or the cost of the tag. It's so that if we come across your dog, we can get it back to you safely. And that's the main objective. The other thing is, we need help to locate our Browns Beach swim area tables. This is a classic. I asked, our fire department was wanting to do training for scuba diving, for scuba response team. I said, well, can you possibly do your scuba teaching at Browns Beach and maybe locate our cables so that we can reattach our buoys to them? It was later brought to my attention by our fire department if we, the city, could pay these guys to do this. I don't know what the council wants to do with this one.
Well, I believe the dive team is actually separate from our fire department. First and foremost on that, but I'll do it. I got all the equipment. I'll do that. I'll do it.
Yeah, we need a vote. Our chief is willing to help too. I mean, we need 2 or 3 people. Okay, just for safety wise.
Yeah, I've done it multiple things like that from the time I was 16 years old. So now we'll put a bag on them, float them up, and we'll go from there.
I'd like to, see that we can locate them, we can attach our buoys to them, so that next spring we can put out a swim area and have some way to bring it back in when the Corps decides to raise the lake again.
I'll get with the chief, and we'll figure out a time and place so that we have safety personnel on hand, and I already have all the equipment, and anything else I'll borrow and go back.
So, with you, the Chief Bab, and I believe there's a state individual that would have died for us.
I'm sorry, what?
Is there a female that is a diver that would help us out too?
I don't know if you are you talking about the instructor?
Yeah.
I do not know how to talk to her.
Okay.
We should be able to. They got to be the right thing. Kurt probably told me that part. So
I would want at least 3 people out there.
Oh, yeah. So I'll get with the chief and we'll figure out here real soon.
Yeah, because it's going to get cold. Yeah. And why is it going to get cold work? I like to get those cables taken care of as soon as possible. And that's all I got. Motion to adjourn. Second, I have a second. Third. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.